Hi guys and welcome to the circus. So here we have another card fight for you guys. So this is gonna be me on the left side against on the right side. It's gonna be Sir PJ with his Yasuya. So I am gonna be using my Harri list that I used to compete on DF's remote fight tournament before. And let's see what happens with this matchup. So with this matchup in mind, we have two Axel decks just clashing against each other, but both have different playstyles. With regards to Yasuie's playstyle, it's almost similar to what Nightmare Dolls does. So when it comes to my Harri deck, it has a different playstyle where it scales up gradually throughout the game, and when you reach that threshold of Star Pop Dragon, you start to pop off. Well, also, if you check a lot of triggers early, you're gonna be popping off the same way. So right here, our Yasuie player, Yasuye. I keep messing up with the pronunciation of that card. So sometimes I hear it as Yasuye, sometimes I say it as Yasue. We're used to saying it Yasue, but I'll try to say it as Yasuya because it sounds a little bit cooler if I say so myself. So okay, so he went first. He rides Takehime, gets himself a Yasuya from the top 7 cards, and then I ride Masquerade Bunny. Sadly, I didn't get myself a Harri or a Dorian there, but let's just see if we manage to get it on the next few turns. So we are going to be swinging for 8k. He takes a damage for a defensive heal, which doesn't go off, obviously. So we checked a Star Pop Dragon, which is going to be a discard fodder for later in the game, which is it's fine because you don't lose that much value. Plus, you need that card to be in the drop zone or in the deck or the soul anyway, so it's still fine. So he rides Aryu, and then CB1 calling the same card from the deck, so he calls an Aryu and makes it a 19k beater for this as long as he has another copy of Aryu on the deck on the field. So right here he calls the grade 2 that gets restrained. No, it's like you can't target it with anything if he has the same card on the board. So right here, I guarded for 5k and putting it on the soul, and then takes the Vanguard and gets a defensive draw, making it so that I will only need to guard it with a 5k shield. So I'm thinking here if I should commit my quick shield, which I actually did, but if I had another Magia doll there, I would have gladly just put it in the soul anyway. So right here, we are gonna ride grade 2. We gonna ride Jacqueline. So I wasn't afraid of riding Jacqueline and using her skill here because it is a very vulnerable moment for me here. He can just damage deny me on my first grade 3 turn, or just not give me damage, because that way I won't do anything. I cannot do anything, to be honest. So right here, I just used that skill and checked up 7 for a potential Lore Pigeon Pop or Magia Doll combination. I got 2 grade 1s, which are the most valuable grade 1 Magia Dolls here. And right here, I'm gonna put a card from my hand to the soul since I fetched 2 cards. So I included a copy of Prana from my hand, and then right here we are gonna be trying to damage deny him, just swinging over the rear guard Aryu. The reason why I did this because I was afraid to be bashed face by a Yasuie turn. Going first is really strong with when playing Yasuie. So if I damage deny him, he can't use his Yasuie skill, but he can still reride if he has Tenma. So right here, he just took damage and then retired that Aryu that I targeted, and then drive checks nothing. And then right here, he rides Yasuye, and then gets Axel to draw a card. And then right here, he can't do anything because he doesn't have any face-up damage on the damage zone to use that skill. So he just commits his hand. He calls another copy of that grade 2. So meaning both of them has now restraint. Is that the word? No, it's not restraint. It's the different word. I forgot the term, but they can't be targeted anymore. So right here, he calls a Tenma, so meaning he is now secured to to reride Tenma if he is able to discard 2 cards. So I take the damage there, damaging a Lore Pigeon Pop, and then he swings now for 12k. Because I didn't get a defensive, now I'm actually thinking on taking it. Yeah, I took it. He checks a front, making it a 24k board right there. Attackers. I check another draw trigger, thankfully. Now he discards 2 cards. He discards a copy of Mudo and a Tenma, to reride the Tenma. So he gets Axel 2, draw a card, and then right here he now swings once again for another 12k to 1 pass. So what happens if it's a risk, it's obviously a risk, but I'm thinking here on what to do. So he is now swinging for 24k both sides, right? He is everything still hits. So right here, I'm thinking on guarding with the Dorian. The reason why I guarded with the Dorian because I want to assist for Harri. Having no Harri in hand hurts a ton. So I am risking it so that if I'm able to fetch Harri on the top 5 cards later, I'm gonna get to ride my perfect ride target. So right here, he checked another front and then still swinging for big numbers. I check another defensive but still hits anyway. So I got it there for another 10k just to secure my Magia dolls on the soul. So right here, I top decked Harri, which is really amazing. So I'm thinking here on picking between Axel 1 or Axel 2 because I am thinking if I should just go ham on my first grade 3 turn to catch up on damage, or or to burn his hand, or if I should just go Axel 2 and just dig up my deck and then just fetch more cards and then hopefully just survive his next turn. So right here, I decided to go Axel 2, draw a card, and then right here, maybe I was hoping for another Dorian, because I did discard the Dorian from guarding, so meaning I need to fetch a Dorian in order to make my plays. I mean to dig more cards in the deck. So right here, I called the Lunatic Dragon on the stage, called the Lord Pigeon Pop, and fetched that the Lunatic Dragon to the soul in order to be called from Harri's skill. So discarding one card, again the perfect discard fodder, which is Star Pop Dragon, and then calling 4 Magia dolls because my opponent is on a grade 3, but meaning, you know, it's gonna be a maximum value with Harri's skill. And it's really cool because it's rarely gonna be able, you're rarely gonna have this kind of situation where you have 4 Magia dolls already. I just high rolled a bit, so yeah, that was really something. So right here, I called a Masquerade Bunny and hoping for a Dorian. Sadly, I didn't get a Dorian, but I still quite fine, I guess, because I still have 2 intercepts on the board for later. So meaning it's like if I use Dorian, I get to draw 2. So it's like if I draw into more guarding pieces, it's still almost the same. But right here, I'm secured with a 10k shield, but if I use Dorian, I'm risking the 10k shield for another 2 cards that might potentially be higher or lower shield. So right here, I'm swinging for 14k against his Vanguard. I guarded for 10k. Now I use that skill of Lord Pigeon Pop to CB1 bounce himself to the hand, call a Star Pop Dragon from the drop zone, and draw a card from the Axel 2, which is given by placing the Star Pop Dragon on the stage. So I'm swinging for 27. He checks nothing there on the defensive. So I now swing for 35k. My Star Pop Dragon needs 1 trigger to make it a Sentinel restricted. So I check a crit, giving the power to Star Pop Dragon and a heal at the same time to healing it out, and then giving the power yet again to Star Pop Dragon, making it a 50k. And my opponent is on a 22k body right now, and for damage I swing with the Star Pop Dragon now because I am threatening for lethal, so I get to burn more hand. He successfully guarded that one. I'm swinging finally for 37. He takes the damage and then passing the turn. So that was a solid turn for a Harri, for being a Harri player. So right here, he rides the regular Yasuie once again. Now he has 3 Axel circles on the board, making it a total of 6, potential 7, depending on the number of Takehimans on the board. Gonna be 8 or 9 or 10, depending on how he plays this. So right here, I'm thinking he actually the situation he's in right now is that his hand is really low, so meaning if he makes it so that the opponent survives, he can't survive his onslaught next turn, because right there I can potentially just secure my Star Pop Dragon's threshold pretty easily. So right here, he actually just decides to commit his whole hand and just tries to end the game right here. I'm setting on a 3 damage, a ton of hand cards, 2 intercepts, and he's sitting on a bunch of attacks, but you know, it's still something to work with. But depending on what he will do here, you will see what kind of high roll potential Yasuie can potentially do once it really pops off. So right here he calls an Awazu from what? From hand, yeah, from hand. And then right here he drops a copy of Shirayuki. But we were asking for some rulings here, where if I drop the new Shirayuki, will he able to copy the old Shirayuki name or the new Shirayuki name? Because in the deck, that unit is still considered Shirayuki, but he decided to just not do it and just drop the regular Shirayuki from the deck, and then making it so that he is now Shirayuki. So meaning what that means is that once he re-rides, he can then again call the Shirayuki from the drop zone using Takehime, or right here just like this using that skill of Yasuie, and then Yasuye, so CB1 Soul Blast 1, call up the 2 cards from the drop zone or the deck with the same card name from his board. So right here he called the Shirayuki, making my Vanguard into a 7k body for the rest of the turn, basically a plus 5k to the front row or for the rest of his units. So yeah, so he calls a Takehime from the deck, making it so that he has three Takehimes in the back row. A secured reride plus 3 CBs only means one thing: if he decides to commit his whole board, his whole hand onto this on this very turn, he will be able to commit to produce 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 potential attacks on a single turn. Damn, that's massive. Against a 10 card deck, I mean a 10 card hand, that's not gonna be enough if you don't check damage defensives. So right here, he now calls over the Shirayuki just to put it in the drop zone to call via Takehime once again. He swings for 13k against my 12k, my 2k, 7k. I double intercepted so that I will get to guard it. So I decided to commit those 2 intercepts right there because I was afraid of him surprising me with something that removes something, so that I will get to lessen my guard value. So right here he swings now for 9k against my 7k. I need 5k to guard this. So I'm thinking of what to guard. I guarded with a Dark Side Mirror Master. I think I overguarded there. So right here he now swings for 12k against my 7k. He checks a draw, giving the power to Awazu, drawing card, and checking a Yasuie. So I take 1 damage, and then right here I didn't check a defensive, sadly, so I needed defensive there just to survive against the Shirayuki turn. So Yasuye re-rides onto Tenma, and then drawing a card from the Axel 2 and using that skill of Takehime 3 times. CB3, calling 3 flicking units from his drop zone with the same card name on the board. Since Awazu is a Shirayuki, he gets to call Shirayuki. And then he can call 2 more cards from his drop zone. What will he call? What units will he decide to call? So he has Aryu, so he can call Aryu once again. And if you didn't know, he runs 4 of those cards. But right here, I just calls the 3 because he doesn't have the 4-1. It's in the soul. I see. That was unfortunate. But he calls a Tenma because Tenma is still a big boy. So he now swings for 20k against my 2k. Bam! So I am now very, very afraid of this situation because everything still hits. Basically, everybody gets a continuous plus 10k plus a front trigger on top of that, making it a plus 20k to the front row. And against, I don't know, like visualize this, you're just a 2k body against those things right here that has front triggers and a bunch of power gain from the Aryu skill. That's a 20k 34k body, that's a 29k, that's a 22k, that's a 32k. Awazu gets a 32 because he gets a draw trigger from earlier. I didn't check a defensive, even though my hand size is big. I will still need to face 1 2 3 4 5 6 attacks with that onslaught. So I guarded there successfully, but barely. So I can't do anything here except to guard with all my might until I deplete my hand. So right here, swings another 34k against my 2k buddy. So Imagine that situation, folks. Basically, he's swinging for 44k against my 12k. But you know, it's easier to say that he's swinging for 34 against my 2k. So right here, I tried to guard, but sadly my hand size is shorter because despite having a lot of hand guards, my guard value isn't enough to face 6 attacks. No, a total of 10 attacks. So I decided to check the damage, and right there, I didn't check a single defensive, and I didn't get a defensive heal. So yeah, that was an amazing fight.